So the next part, I want to make sure that everything which I put inside the queue, it looks like that. So I need a schema for that. So how do I create a schema where I have just start on Google, create JSON schema. And the one which I'm using is this jsonschema.net. And you need to be logging here. So I'm going to log in with GitHub and press sign in. I'm going to authorize. And that should be all. So here I'm going to create a JSON schema from that JSON. Now there are a couple of things to notice. First of all, its schema contains information about this field if it's missing or not. If this object is missing or not, we will stick to a simple version. And let's consider that each field, it needs to be a list one. However, in production, that's not a really case. And to be honest, the schema, it's an additional step that the architect should do it. So I'm just gonna tell you how does it look like and what's the step. So I'm just gonna paste here and submit. Okay, so a JSON schema has been generated. And as you can see, it has a format which is as a JSON also. You can have as a YAML or as an XML. But in this case, we're gonna stick to a JSON because this is what UiPath Orchestrator supports, so a JSON. So what this contains, first of all, it contains some examples. It contains information about required. So these two are required, as you can see, which is exactly what I'm interested in. I may choose to remove these details, for instance. What I'm interested to have this object not missing. So I may choose to remove this. And then it contains information related to the client. So each field is then, it's split here. So client information, it's an object. It contains the title, description, and some examples. And for each individual object in individual properties, it's describing what is required and what is not. So I'm gonna stick with this, with these properties also. And it gives basically a bunch of examples. And it's recursively, it's containing the same thing. For instance, this is an object which is named client information. It has required these properties, and then I'm gonna detail each property. This is a client ID, is a type string, I can say a title, a description, and a couple of examples. And I'm gonna do the same from here. I can say additional properties to true or false. Additional properties, it means other examples, other properties can exist here to client information. And to be honest, in this case, I don't want to have other properties. However, you may decide to add properties later. What I'm interested for now, I'm interested only these properties to have these specifications. So this case, you may choose to set false or true. And the same thing, it applies. This one is the property details, which match to this JSON. And it's just basically tell the same thing. This is an object. I tell some examples and the required properties, which I'm going to put here. So what I'll choose, because I don't want to go and do the copy pasting, this one to additional properties is referring to the object to the root one. So I'm going to just stick this one to true. And what I'll do, what I'm interested, this object contains only the client information. So I can easily delete these details. So I can just say edit. So I'll go here under the root, and this will be an object. I'm going to go edit. And as a required, I want to remove these details. I just want to leave the client one. So I can delete from here and click save. And now I can say to the code. And I can remove that one using this text. However, I recommend to use this edit from the JSON schema. So as you can see, I have just removed this. So now I can go copying clipboard. So I'll go here now under my client hash, which I'm going to discuss right now. I'm going to add a new folder, and let's say schemas. And this will be the format. I'm going to add a new text document. And here I'm going to say JSON schema.json. Now, maybe you don't have the ability to set the extension directly. In this case, you can save it as a text, and when you save it as, you're going to save to as an extension. So I'm going to edit with Notepad++. I'm going to just paste and hit a save. Okay. So this is the way how you do a JSON. Now I'm going to copy this path and I want to set up to this queue. So specific schema JSON. I want to be specific. So I'm going to just, by the way, you need to use a JSON. Click submit and update. Great. So I was able to specify to the client hash a schema. And now all the items which I'm going to put, basically this is the agreement between my consumer and my producer to respect this format. Now we're going to see what will happen if we'll not respect this schema, but later on in a later video. So let's go to the next part.